think all entrepreneurs can agree that they are the biggest bottleneck in their business. 4 months ago, I came to that conclusion and I had to stop allowing my team to ask me any questions. It's more than just that. It has been a breakthrough for my team to get more done, accomplish more, and interact with their other team members better than ever. In today's episode, I'm going to break down our communication filters and how my team isn't allowed to ask me any questions. It's going to be a good one, so stick around. Hey friends, welcome back to the Less Hustle, More Profit podcast. In today's episode, we are going to have such a good conversation. This is a topic I made a reel about, which I wasn't sure how people were going to respond to. And I got such great feedback. So many entrepreneurs were in my DMs like, Tanner, tell me what this looks like. Like, explain to me how you do this, what it's like, why you're doing this. Like, just, I need all the details. So, my friend, on today's episode, we're going to talk about how my team isn't allowed to ask me any questions. I think you're going to find this really, really fascinating. And I'm going to break it all down from where I got the concept from, how long it took me to actually implement it, because there's a story there. And I'm going to talk about what was the final straw for me to test this out and how I shared it with my team and so on and so forth. I will tell you, as a spoiler alert for this episode, it has been a game changer over the last 4 months inside of our particular organization. And I think the reason why it has been so well received is because we have other leaders on the team and other decision makers that isn't just me. So pretty much if you have over 5 team members, employees, contractors, what have you, I think this would be a really great concept to consider adding as a process to really being able to manage your team and hopefully get more accomplished. Because here's the deal. As an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you are the decision maker. Everyone on your team wants to make sure that you are happy with the work they're doing, and they want to make sure that they don't do anything wrong. And as a beginner entrepreneur with maybe one team member, you're going to work a lot differently than when you're going to rise up and have more leaders, more people taking action, and having a longer relationship with them. I think it's also very, very important to note that when I looked at it, I had no new team members. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful and thankful that everyone on my team has been with me at least 2 years. So we have no super fresh and new team members. And inside of our business, we do a lot of the same thing. Like, what we do is very strategic, very, strategized, like ahead of time. So there's not a lot of things that should come up because everyone on the team has been with us for multiple years and we do the same launches each and every year. So once I had that realization, I was more open to it. But I will tell you, getting started and learning about this concept, which I'm about to share about, I had a lot of resistance, and I want to just normalize that as a business owner. I think it's very important for us to hear a concept that we may love or we may hate, and just start asking ourselves, why do I feel resistance to this? You may be having resistance to, adding a new procedure for your team to communicate with you. And I just want to give you like for sure, experience that and enjoy asking yourself the questions about why do I feel resistance and whatnot. Because what I'll tell you is this concept has allowed my team to be so much more confident in their own ability and giving them the freedom to go and put amazing work into our organization. And if I don't like something, guess what? Everything is fixable. Everything is figure outable, as Marie Forleo says. I love that. So I really wanted to share with my team that I wanted them to kind of go to a new level, and that as the leader, I am encouraging everyone to go deeper with me on this journey, and it's going to be really fun to hear this whole story. So let me start with how I got here, where I learned it from, because guess what? This is not my concept. This is actually from Brooke Castillo's entrepreneurship management course, which is found inside of Get Coached or Self-Coaching Scholars. It's her membership site. So I actually signed up for the membership site to get access to some of this business teaching because I love learning from other business owners. I also love learning from people who run large organizations. And Brooke talks very frequently about how she works 3 days a week. So I just love learning about all of these different concepts of hers. And she talks about a lot this concept of a communication filter, which sounds very, very scary and very, very like, what? Like, how does that work? Like, I went through that course to really learn what communication filters were. So that's what I'm going to go over with you today and how we started using it. But as I went through the course, gosh, probably close to a year ago, I had so much resistance to actually adding this communication filter into our business. And the number one reason why is because I have a lot of thoughts about how my team would be, thinking of me. And I felt like they would not like it. And I just wanted to be very aware that I had that thought. And one thing I just want to call out is just because you or I have the thought someone does not like me or would not like me, does that make it true? Right? That doesn't make it true or not. That's just a thought I'm having in my brain, and it can sometimes not serve me. So it's really important for us to say, hey, that is not necessarily true. It's just a thought and a feeling you're having about your team or your business and things like that. So I wanted to be very upfront with myself and aware of that. I knew it's something that I think we could benefit from, but I just was not ready. So I had a lot of resistance, we'll call it, okay? And then here is where I started to see that actually communication filters would allow me to make a greater impact, as well as creating space for my team to also contribute at a higher level. All right. So if you are running a business and you notice that team members are coming to you and asking you questions that you feel like they should already be able to know the answer to, or that you find team members coming to you and just wanting reassurance, or coming to you and wanting to just make sure they're on the same page about things that is their normal cadence of work or anything like that, the communication filters would be a really great concept for you to start adding in. Now, in my particular case, 4 months ago, I opted to not attend a team meeting with my team. And I was working on a kind of like a sprint project, and I just, for some reason, felt the need to not attend the weekly team meeting. I needed to focus on this launch. I think I was working on a webinar deck. I don't know. And what happened was I was sitting at the coffee shop where I always start my work. If you know something about me, I work out at CrossFit in the morning, and I go from CrossFit, I pick up a coffee, and I do like a light 30 to 45 minutes of work. And it's just really good for me to kind of change spaces out. I'm filming this podcast outside in my backyard. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, I literally, you need to go over to YouTube so you can see I'm like on my back, patio area beside the pool. The lake's back there. It's beautiful. So I love to change up my scenery. But here's what happened. I was trying to work on this really, important document or project, and I ended up getting, within 1 minute, 4 different team members asking me a question that I really felt like they could have answered, that I felt that they could, or it was possible that with all those smart people on that team meeting, they could have figured it out without me there. And that's when I realized there is a better way to do this. So here's what I did. I will say moderately, just like, it was just interesting to me, like what was coming up for me. I was like, okay, this is it. I need to put in Brooke's teaching of the communication filters, which I'm going to explain to you the ones we've added. I just want you to have the context of what it is and how I got to this place. And I'll tell you how my team took it. So as soon as I finished my project, I went to the office and I decided to rewatch that training and create our own communication filters. Now, if you're listening to the podcast and you're a business owner and you're like, Tanner, I want to see exactly how you do this, how you did this. Here is what I actually did. So I created a Google document that just simply said communication filters. And I really wanted my team to understand that this is such an open, like, new shift, and that I wanted to be very aware that, not everyone would be able to follow this to a T, and there's room for that, and that's totally fine. So pretty much I made a little Loom video going over the communication filters, and I said, effective today, we are not, to communicate with me, and this is not an organization-wide concept yet, so it's only working with like visionary, myself as the founder. If people are collaborating with me on a project, they just need to follow one of our 3 filters. And I think this is really, really important for owners and operators to start asking themselves if they find themselves in a place of, potentially decision fatigue, right? You're making so many decisions. You feel like you are, the weight of the company and that you're constantly having to contribute. If you feel that way, guess what? I want to challenge you to start considering, could some of your team members take some of this weight off of you, right? Because at the end of the day, we are paying our team to help us bring our vision to life and help us take pieces of the business off our shoulders. Yes, the actual weight off of our shoulders, and help us create a result. Very, very specific. And the better you are as a visionary to paint the picture of what taking weight off your shoulders looks like, the better your team is going to be able to contribute. So I was very aware of this, and that is kind of the heart I went into developing my communication filters, was saying, hey, you all are amazing, and I know that. Like, I love all the work you do, but I want to know more of your thoughts too, right? Because I found a lot of people coming to me asking me questions that, yet again, they could make a really good decision about. I want to know what they are thinking anyway, and they're equipped for this, right? And what has happened with my team after doing this has been amazing. But let me tell you what a communication filter is and how we set it up. So I said, as I am personally working to recover from severe adrenal fatigue, which is totally true. I could make a whole podcast about it. I'm taking it as serious as possible in both work and personal life to recover to the best of my abilities. I'm adding a few simple steps to make sure everyone is operating at their best and leveraging any other team member before bringing a question or a problem to me personally. All right. Now, this is another policy that I added in at the same time. And I think this is just to streamline like work-life balance between the whole organization. I was finding that in-person team members were quickly like being like, oh, let me stop by Tanner's office and, ask him this quick question, or, oh, let me shoot Tanner a text message, or, oh, things like that. So I wanted to be very specific of where you should direct your questions. Virtual team members do this so well because they're virtual, but the line always gets blurred for me with in-person team members. And I love, love, love in-person team. I think it is so valuable. And I just want to be very apparent to that, like aware that there's so much value there. And if you're on my team, like, I absolutely am obsessed with you. I want to hang out with you all the time. But when it comes to questions and I'm at the office, I want to be able to contribute to the work I'm doing and not be interrupted, right? Like that is, I think we all can agree, it's very important. So this was what I said. I said, note, all company communication will run through Slack. No texting, emailing, or stopping by my office with a question, as this is distracting to my personal workload. And it has been such a great decision. If you are, maybe a relationship with your virtual assistant and things like that, you could be a very small team and start taking some of these things of like, wait, I only want the questions in Slack, or I only want the questions in email. Like, just pick one communication line that you can really take ownership of and manage it extremely, extremely well. All right. So then I said, please be sure to slow down and follow these new filters when needing to ask for answers, asking for guidance, or receiving and getting feedback from me. So here is what I outlined. I said, what to do when you need a decision on something, but not sure what to pick. So I kind of went through 3 different filters, and I said, I want to make sure that you run through one of the 3 filters. So there's a clarifying question filter, which is the most popular. There's a decision filter, which is like, hey, we need to make a decision. I need your input. Or an idea filter. So these are 3 of the filters that we are using in our business. And honestly, the clarifying question filter, which I'm about to go over, is the number 1 filter that I think all of our team uses the most, because people always have questions they want to get clarification on. Because what happens is that you kick off a project, you assign a project, and then guess what? Your team's going to have questions about it. It's totally normal for you to assign something to a team member and then they need like clarifying questions. Like they have to get clarification on what you have assigned them. Now, before I talk about what the clarifying question filter is, here is what I want you to know. If you are someone that is new to leading a team or having a contractor or having an employee, or you have many employees and you feel like you do not do it well, this is something I want to teach you real fast before we move forward. And that is, anytime you receive work from someone on your team and it is not what you were looking for or expecting, here's what you need to do. You need to stop, going straight to, oh my gosh, they did it wrong. And I want you to sit that to the side and I want to give you a new thought. I want you to start thinking, when people turn work into you that is not what you expected, you need to start asking yourself the question, how did I, assign this work incorrectly? How did I decide to assign this work to them and got this result? Like, there is somewhere between what you actually said for them to do and what the work you received back from them is. Anytime that I can look at someone's work and I'm unhappy about it because it's not, we're not on the same page, here's the first thing I do. I go to wherever I assign them the project and I read everything that I said to them. I personally take ownership over their work and say, you know what? As their manager and as their boss, I just didn't give them enough information for them to create the result that I was actually expecting. And I think the better you can get at being specific and calling yourself out, to call yourself up when you fall short about assigning someone work, this is where your business is going to flourish. Because what happens is you get very good at being able to manage a team and, manage expectations both with yourself and your team member. And that way they can get the work done that you actually want. I have too many friends and business owners who's like, oh my gosh, I can't have anyone else do this. Like, I do it better than them. And what that tells me is that they're not willing to slow down enough to really explain what they're looking for. And when someone turns in work to them that is incorrect, instead of going through and asking, hey, where did I go wrong assigning this work? They go straight to, oh, no one else can do it. I can do it better. I can do it faster. And what that does is you're being a bottleneck. All right. So I just wanted to like give that concept because I think you have to have a really good understanding of how to really, really lead a team and assign work to people to get the desired outcome you're looking for. Right? So let me just go over the clarifying question filter. You're going to be shocked at how simple this filter is, but how amazing it is. And I'll explain why I think it's so amazing. All right. So clarifying question filter is step number 1. Super simple. List all questions for any assigned work. So you just list out the questions about a project, right? That's it. Step 1. Super simple. Step number 2 is you attempt to answer each question you're asking. Here's what I said, as well as that. Use your brain to the best of your ability to think of an answer. What this will do is it will help me see what you're thinking and great feedback for me when assigning projects. I love this because it helps me see where they're going with their question. And a lot of times you already are in love with your team member. So you actually are probably just going to love what they're wanting to do anyway. So it's so simple. And Brooke talks about this inside of the course where she's like, oh my gosh, that's such a great, great suggestion or great idea or great concept. Like, let's go with it. I give you the green light to go all in on that so that you can, get your work done to the best of your ability. And she didn't even have to give input or I didn't give input. I'm just like, you know what? That's a great idea. I had a team member recently, asked me a question about a launch and I got, the message on Slack and they're like, hey, like, we're only halfway through this launch. Like we've ran out of spots. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, hey, can you run a filter through this? And she was like, you know what? I think we should just open up 50 more spots and allow more people to enroll until this day. I was like, I love that. It's so on brand for us. And it's just what we would do. So instead of me having to like really, again, go to my adrenal glands and like really stress them out, like I was able to truly see the weight being carried by other team members that guess what? Are capable, are amazing. And that is how, people can make a greater contribution to your organization by giving them space to really make an impact, to really contribute to your team. And for some of us, may have never even thought that was possible. Okay. You may have never thought that someone could make a decision that would be what you were looking for. And to be quite frank, a lot of times my team makes better decisions because they're not constantly looking for, me and different things like that. I will tell you, if your team's like mine, they're very conscious and very aware of company funds and not wanting to spend money or allocate money in the wrong area. So we kind of have like thresholds, like, you know what, customer care can approve anything up to $150, or the marketing team can spend up to $1,000 without asking me, and different things like that. So I highly, highly recommend having that, because if you don't have like what that threshold is, it's just a really blurry area and you'll find a lot of miscommunication there, and people may be asking you questions that you don't even think they should be asking you, but they just don't know, like, this is $20 of company money. Like, can I buy that? And I'm like, yeah, do what you got to do. It's $20. Okay. So these are the other two filters we have that Brooke suggested. But I will tell you, our team does not use these other two. And I think because they're a lot of work. So what I've found is that instead of people asking me to like help them make a decision or, approve an idea, what's fascinating in my organization is that they're just going and doing it. And I think this concept for my team has allowed everyone to just do their job better. They are just, instead of, oh, Tanner has to see this, Tanner has to approve this, all of that, they're just like, hey, I just want to make great work. I just want to do great work, which is super awesome to me. I love that about my team. Everyone is like such an A player, and they're really wanting to make the greatest impact and teach people how to craft, which is what this company that I'm teaching you guys the concepts from is. All of the team members there are owning and operating in that area. So the other two filters would be the decision filter. And the steps for a decision filter is step number 1, write down both options you're contemplating or debating between. So I've seen some of my team members like send me like, hey, here's 2 softwares. Here's what one can do. Here's what the other can do, the price difference, things like that, yada, yada, yada. And then step number 2 is write down which you're going with and answer why you're going with the one you're going with. So listen to how I worded that. Write down which one you're going with. Okay. What's super cool is that with step number 3, you list how you're going to execute this. So if we're switching softwares, you're going to list, hey, here's the 2 I was thinking between. Here's the one I want to go with. And here's how that transition process should look like. Very straightforward. And then step number 4, you're welcome to add, if needed, if I don't hear back from you by this date, I will move forward and execute. I love that. I think that is such a great thing that a team member can, put on an email or in our case, Slack, in a question of like, hey, Tanner, I don't hear back from you by Friday, I'm going to move forward with this next week. And that allows me to be like, oh, okay, if I don't like this, I can correct course before they even buy the software or move forward with it. So that's kind of an idea of how the decision filter works. And then the third and final concept is the idea filter steps. So this is where you would run a filter on if someone in your organization has a lot of ideas. What do I do when I have a great idea that I would like to present? You would ask them to run through this filter. And step number 1 is just write out the idea. Like, what's your idea? Step number 2, you answer the question, why is this a good idea? I think this is so good for people to like slow down in their work and like answer like, wait, why is this a really good idea? Number 3, what does the idea require to implement? Does it require money? Does it require company time? Does it require help? Does it require vendors? Like any of those things you would want to list. And then number 4 is, if approved, when would you start? Such a cool one. And this is a great way that you can just give them these filters and see what happens. At the end of the Google document, I said, I trust this is going to help move our organization forward and help each of you own your role better. And I signed it Tanner. So that is truly how our team is operating. And what I can tell you, my friend, if you're listening to this and you are an entrepreneur, if you are a CEO, I personally own and manage 3 different companies. I have Makers Gonna Learn. I have Less Hustle, More Profit. I have my Bell Property Management. I'm wearing a hat for them today. We have over 30 properties. It's crazy. I will tell you, as someone that wears a lot of hats, this has been a game changer to our organization. I am so impressed by our team. But what I want to share with you that makes it even more impressive is that for some reason, all of these questions, once we added these filters, these different filters, they have asked me so little questions. I'm really shocked to see how much people are just owning of their role and like going for it. It has been such a fun culture shift, and it's really allowing me to be in that visionary mindset and allowing me to make a greater impact, allowing me to heal some of my physical body issues, allowing me to work better and be less stressed and really feel like there's people out there, which there are, that love and are willing to, work hard to see our vision come to fruition. It has been a game changer. So I love, love, love these new communication filters. And this is why I pretty much say my team isn't allowed to ask me any questions, because it's true. They're not allowed to ask me questions and just wait for me to tell them. I find that, when you have to answer the question yourself, it puts like such a different shift in your mind. And it goes from you being like, oh, I got to ask Tanner. It's like, oh, shoot, like to ask Tanner a question, I have to answer it myself. So like I have to really ask him a really good question and give a really good answer. And it has been a game changer for our organization. If you're interested in getting my communication filter document, where I have a Loom video that I made for my team and the full sheet, all you need to do is send me a direct message on Instagram. It's Tanner Bell. That's my username. Just search It's Tanner Bell or Tanner Bell. I'm sure I'll pop up. There are a few fake accounts, but I'm verified. So give me a follow, but message me and I'll be glad to send you this exact document. All right. There's no sign up form. Like you will literally just DM me and I will personally send you the Google document. It's super simple. If you're a CEO, you're going to love having this. It has been a game changer. We've only had this implemented for 4 months. And I will tell you, it's been 4 of the best months of our organization. And my team was so willing to be a part of it. And if they had any resistance to the idea of it, I wouldn't even know, because they handled it like a champ. And I'm just super, super proud of them. So thank you guys so much for being part of another Less Hustle, More Profit podcast episode. If you would like to learn more about how to work with me, if you want to see what that looks like, again, on my Instagram, go over there, click the link, take my free training. I'm going to share with you the 5 things that was able to help scale my business to multiple 7 figures. I'm going to break it all down for you in like a really cool 20-minute training that you will absolutely enjoy. I cannot wait to see you next week. And until then, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, leave a review, or if you're listening on YouTube, leave me a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.